Hello and welcome back to Aussie's Money Matters. Today we're going to be talking about an important topic that affects all Australian citizens and residents: tax laws. Taxes can be a complex and confusing topic, so we'll break it down in this video to help you better understand Australian tax laws. Let's start with the basics. What are taxes? Taxes are payments made by individuals and businesses to the government. The government uses these funds to pay for public services such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Before moving ahead, let's try to understand the history of Australian tax laws. Dates back to the early days of European settlement in the late 18th century. The first tax was imposed by the New South Wales colonial government in 1800 in the form of a tax on spirits, which was followed by taxes on tobacco and other goods. In the early 1900s, the Commonwealth of Australia was formed, and the Constitution granted the federal government the power to impose taxes. The first federal income tax was introduced in 1915 to help fund Australia's participation in World War I. The income tax system has undergone several changes since then, with the introduction of various deductions, exemptions, and tax offsets. In the 1980s, the Australian government introduced a range of tax reforms, including the introduction of a Goods and Services Tax (GST) in 2000. The GST is a value-added tax levied on most goods and services sold or consumed in Australia. It is currently set at a rate of 10%. Other significant changes to Australian tax laws over the years have included the introduction of superannuation, pension, contributions, the introduction of a carbon tax, which was later repealed, and the more recent changes to the taxation of multinational companies. In summary, Australian tax laws have evolved significantly over the past 2 centuries, with a range of taxes and reforms introduced to meet the changing needs of the country and its citizens. Now let's talk about the types of tax. There are several types of taxes in Australia that individuals and businesses may be required to pay, including income tax. This is the most common tax that individuals pay in Australia. It is a tax on your earnings and is based on your taxable income. Goods and Services Tax, GST, is a tax on the consumption of goods and services in Australia. It is currently set at 10% and is included in the price of most goods and services. Payroll tax, this is a tax that businesses must pay based on the total amount of wages they pay to their employees. Capital gains tax, CGT, this tax is paid on the profit made from selling certain types of assets, such as property or shares. Fringe benefits tax, FBT, this tax is paid by employers on non-cash benefits given to employees, such as company cars or health insurance. It's time to understand why someone needs to pay taxes in Australia. If you are an Australian resident or citizen, you are generally required to pay taxes on your income, regardless of where the income is earned. Non-residents who earn income in Australia may also be required to pay taxes. Now, how income tax is calculated? Income tax is calculated based on your taxable income, which includes your salary or wages, investment income, and any other income you earn. The amount of tax you pay is based on a progressive tax system, meaning that the more you earn, the higher percentage of tax you pay. Tax deductions and offsets. There are several deductions and offsets available to individuals and businesses to reduce the amount of tax they need to pay. For example, you may be able to claim deductions for work-related expenses such as uniforms or travel expenses, or claim offsets for things like donations to charity. Important dates and deadlines. It's important to be aware of the various tax deadlines in Australia to avoid penalties and interest charges. The most important dates to remember are: June 30th, end of the financial year. October 31st, deadline for individuals to submit their tax returns. February 28th, deadline for employers to submit their POIG withholding summaries to the ATO. Let's jump to our conclusion. Tax laws are an important aspect of managing your personal or business finances in Australia. By understanding the types of taxes, who needs to pay them, how they are calculated, and the various deductions and offsets available, you can ensure that you are paying the right amount of tax and avoiding any penalties or interest charges. Don't forget to keep track of important tax deadlines to avoid any last-minute stress. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.